Good morning, it's Monday and welcome to Saba's Way of Life. Today I want to talk about the importance of family and community not in a way that you know all about. What I'm trying to say is from an experiential standpoint, so I'm sharing certain parts of events that happened over the last week or so that may help you in regard to living a fulfilling, meaningful and purposeful life, because it certainly made a massive difference in mine. So the first thing I want to say to you is this is important. Over the last few years, and especially since 2020, I don't need to spell out what we're talking about here, is there has been a huge, the one emotion that's filled the world is the emotion of fear. And every single one of us, obviously myself too, were included in that. And that has been the greatest challenge, to actually go within and recognize what is happening, and research for oneself and stop in silence and really contemplate what's going on. And that can take a lifetime for some people. The majority of people will never actually do the work necessary to understand that properly. Fortunately, and I don't know how one can distinguish one from the other, there's conditioning, upbringing, genes, whatever the reason. What I want to state to you is this. For a long time, I was contemplating how I can escape. Now, this is both in the literal and metaphorical sense. So need to get out of this godforsaken country, which it is, and I need to go somewhere where there's land and farms and cows, and I'm a person of the land, so it stands to reason that I need to just go somewhere and I can breathe the air and so on. And that is all true. That is, and a lot of people have done that and have achieved what they've wanted, which is great. But there's a huge part of this that a lot of people miss, which is living in a society where we are solipsistic, in which we think only about ourselves. That's how, we become the frequency of our environment. And that's what the environment, through every media source that we have, has conditioned us. Even our upbringing, because our parents have had to be slaves. So we've had to think about feeding ourselves, only ourselves. So I digress a little bit. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm going to go back to what I was saying. I have recognized that the most important, aside from where you live, remember, I live in an area that I'm not particularly happy with, but I'm close to my parents. And for me, that's a priority. And that was a huge battle in my mind as to what should I leave? Because they're settled in their ways. I can disappear off into the sunset. Fortunately, not everybody has options. I do. But it doesn't matter where we are. The first thing to understand is that, what does death even mean? If hard times came upon us and we were to leave our bodies, what does that even mean? For those who have faith and understand that this is just such a temporary fixture here, it wouldn't really matter where you are to a degree, because the focus would be on the people around you and the community around you. And that is the most important thing. I can't express this enough. And what I am trying to say is that it doesn't matter if you have a family. Work on building those relationships, because they are what give meaning in life. If you have neighbours and people around you, look at the positive in that and start building relationships with them, because that's what gives you the raison d'être to get up in the morning. And make somebody feel good about themselves and say something meaningful to them. When you yourself change yourself within and understand that our focus is on serving others and on serving the mind behind the universe, which otherwise is known as God. I don't really want to use that word anymore since I've started looking at some of the Aramaic texts and understanding that the word God was never in there. It was always the Almighty. And my understanding of that, rightly or wrongly, is the mind behind the universe, the universal mind, which to me stems from the laws of nature. Not from any religion, creed, colour, nothing. All of that is man-made, all of it, every single one of them. The last 2 days, we have had family gatherings, we have cooked food, the children have been together, the wider family has come together, friends. That didn't just happen overnight. That has stemmed from, certainly from my perspective, from years of making an effort to turn things round. Because the very thing this system that we're living in now wants is that we disunite, if that's a word at all. We not whole anymore. We break up into fragments, and then they have control of our minds, which they've done. But those of you who've got an ounce of humanity left in you, and you haven't been messed up, I'm just being very polite with my words today, and you haven't been messed up with the food and the geoengineering and eating trash and being with all this stuff that's going in that genetically modifies our genes and cells. Those of you who know what I'm talking about know, because you've been bothered to go and do the research on it. And if you're lucky enough to have the time to do the research, because they don't want you to have the time to do that, they being the globalists. Yeah. Do your work, do your homework. You would know, and even if you don't know any of this, you would know that the harmony and love that one feels when community is united doesn't matter where you're living. You feel like you're living in a kind of earthly heaven when you've got that unity around you and everybody gathers together. And that's what I'm now seeing manifest over the last 2 weeks, simply because I changed and I realised, and being an individual who doesn't just focus on one thing. I used to do that, and that didn't get me very far. That gave me Crohn's. There's all sorts of diseases that people can get. There's even mental diseases. Well, now more and more people have diseases of the mind. They call it mental illness, but don't overplay that. It's because their minds have been taken over, and even those who think their minds haven't. If you're sitting in one place every day focusing on one thing, then that isn't a balanced way of living. Because you're using, let's say, for example, your left brain, which is your logic and reasoned mind, and you're forgetting the right brain. Some of them, those people don't even believe that even exists. The right brain thinking, the metaphoric, the mystical, connecting to source. There are people that I'm looking at who believe in an understanding that there is a mind behind the universe that's God. But they see it from a logical way. This is what we have to do. This is the contract. There is a contract, but it's how you view that, what meaning you make of it. And this is what you do. And this is what I'm going to do so that I enter paradise. For me, that's bullshit. It doesn't work like that. The understanding of connecting to the mind behind the universe is something you do now, and you feel it. There is nobody can argue with that, because it's work that you do inside and it cannot be explained. You know it when you're experiencing it at the time, and that does not come through a book. And I'm not suggesting that reading books is wrong, far from it. So it's about ensuring that you live a life with that harmony, and when you spend time outdoors, when you spend time with family, when you spend time reading, wherever you can, when you spend time listening to others, something I used to find very hard to do, and I do now a lot more. When you spend time cooking food in nature with your animals, you start to, you have this, I call it the Jill of all trades, which is a left brain way, but there is a harmony that is, I would almost say, like an aura that comes around you because you are whole. And it is a form of enlightenment. Don't attach that word with this mainstream nonsense. There is a form of enlightenment. It's not something that you think that can't be me because only Buddha can reach that. No. This whole thing that Buddha, notion that Buddha was this man and Muhammad, if he existed, was that man, and Jesus was like this, and so. They were humans like us. But all these stories that have been built up around them over the thousands and thousands of years, all of us have got within us that ability to connect to our source. And that is why it doesn't matter where you are. Follow your inner instruction, which can only happen when you dissolve the fear and you really realize that this is just a temporary fixture here. And we are here to serve others and live that way of life where you empty the mind, do what you need to do, and then something stirs in you. And it always happens to me when I'm out in nature or in the garden. These ideas come to me, and yes, there is a battle. There's no right or wrong, but that it's from there that I take action. And I follow those actions, and you'll be surprised how something you do today sometimes can manifest immediately, but the work is going on somewhere where I can't even explain to help that happen later on in life. And this isn't law of attraction, please. That's all nonsense. This is just you connecting to source. So make the effort to do that, because it's having a remarkable impact and effect on my life in every way. My eyes and ears have opened to such a high degree. It's almost like I'm seeing with my ears and I'm hearing with my eyes. And you're even reading minds. You observe people, and you have the ability. All of us have got this ability. We've just got to nurture it. When somebody speaks and says something, you kind of understand what's going on inside them. Not always, but you just have, it just happens. And it happens when you spend the time in silence more than anything, which is an activity in itself, and outdoors if you can, wherever you are. It's magical. Family, community is the most important focus right now. Nothing else. If you're able to do other things, then great. But if you have your farm and you're hiding behind a wall, or like some idiots are doing, or going down in bunkers or whatever, it's irrelevant. Because there's no meaning inside you. You're going to go anyway. What really matters are the people around you and the community around you, and what you're doing to serve. You can't serve others sitting on a farm alone with 5 or 6 people that just think like you. That's not what it's about. Surround yourself with people like that. You will attract them anyway. It's all about the balance. And people change. When you change who you are, your frequency, this is very simple. You will start to notice a change. That's why the whole world has gone doolally, because of the frequency. So change that frequency. It starts with you. And the frequency of humanity and the frequency of the mind behind the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is the strongest frequency, which the globalists or the elite, whatever you want to call them, are the most afraid of. Change. Start now, and you will find the change in your community. It's happening literally as I speak around me, and that is power. Okay, so I'm going in the garden today, tidying up, cleaning up, as you do, enjoying every moment of it, maybe listening to an educational YouTube video. I enjoy that. And then in the garden, it's a root day. I think it's a full moon today, so I want to try to get as much done as I can. It's not a great day to do too much, but the calendar says it's a root day, and there's only a certain area in the day that perhaps the lunar calendar, that is not so good to work with. But I'm going to be going out and layering up the potatoes and checking in on the greenhouse and getting some chores done. Have a lovely day.